Hello, my dear friends. Today, I have a very interesting story for you. Take your seats, fasten your seatbelts, and we will start right away. A farmer named Miguel. Upon arriving at the airport to purchase his private jet, he is met with rude and prejudiced behavior from the employees and other customers. When Miguel arrives, the salesperson immediately judges him by his appearance, assuming that someone dressed so plainly couldn't possibly afford such a luxury. The salesperson had envisioned an elegant and sophisticated buyer, not someone like Miguel. However, Miguel brushes off their assumptions and continues to show genuine interest in the jet. While Miguel evaluates the jet with curiosity, the salesperson grows visibly impatient. "If you're not interested, I'll have to leave," says the salesperson dismissively. Miguel is taken aback by the blatant disrespect and feels compelled to explain, "Actually, I am very interested in buying." Despite his response, the salesperson's hostility only deepens. Nearby customers also begin to judge Miguel, making snide comments for him to overhear. "He doesn't look like he can afford this," one mutters. "He must be lost." Cruel glances are cast in Miguel's direction, making him feel uncomfortable and exposed. Though purchasing a jet has been his lifelong dream, Miguel begins to wonder if it's worth enduring such humiliation. Still, he refuses to back down. Suddenly, Miguel feels a tap on his shoulder. Startled, he turns around with his head held high, bracing for more ridicule. To his surprise, it's an old friend standing there with a warm smile. Dressed casually in a striped shirt and slacks, his friend, Roberto, exclaims, "Well, if it isn't Miguel, what brings you here?" The familiar face and friendly tone bring Miguel some comfort. The two start chatting like old times, though Miguel remains uneasy under the weight of judgmental stares. "Are you here to buy a plane, Miguel?" Roberto asks, curious. Miguel hesitates before admitting, "I was thinking about it, but I'm not sure I belong here." Roberto waves off his concerns with a laugh. "Don't let these wealthy snobs bother you. They don't know anything." Despite his friend's reassurance, Miguel can't shake the mocking whispers and side glances. Miguel notices a group of men pointing cameras in his direction. It's clear they're preparing to photograph him, not out of admiration, but as a cruel joke. Their taunts grow louder, and Miguel feels increasingly uneasy. His heart pounding, he starts walking toward the exit with Roberto. But then, a loud, mocking voice stops him in his tracks. "Hey, farmer, you're really here to buy a jet?" One of the men shouts, drawing the attention of everyone in the airport. "Do you really think anyone will take you seriously looking like that? That dirty hat. Go back to your farm." Miguel freezes. The entire room is staring, including the smug salesperson. Despite his inexperience with confrontation, Miguel feels a surge of pride and determination. He turns slowly toward the group, his heart still racing. "I'm buying a plane for myself, not to impress anyone," Miguel says firmly, his voice strong and unwavering. The men laugh, their mockery growing louder. "No matter what you do, you'll never be like us," one sneers. "Look at you. Your clothes are filthy, and your boots are caked with mud. You don't even look like you belong here." Miguel raises an eyebrow, his lips curling into a sardonic smile. "You're right, I don't belong here," he replies. "I belong where dreams are chased, and I'm not afraid to pursue mine, even if it means standing out." His words are met with more laughter. "Dream on," one man scoffs. "It'll take you a lifetime to save enough money for a jet. And even if you do, who's going to fly it for you? You're just a nobody. Go back to your farm where you belong." Miguel doesn't falter. With fire in his eyes, he retorts, "I'd rather be a nobody chasing dreams than a somebody too scared to have any." As the laughter echoed around him, Miguel felt his anger surge. He tried to keep his composure, but his pride and determination refused to be silenced. Standing tall, he locked eyes with the man who had spoken, his voice firm and confident. "I'm not dreaming, and I can prove it," Miguel declared, his words cutting through the mocking crowd. Silence fell as everyone awaited his next move. His expression was resolute, his stance unyielding. Reaching into his pocket, Miguel produced a check written for the exact price of the jet. "You say I can't buy a jet?" he asked, his gaze unwavering. The group was stunned, their smug expressions replaced with shock and discomfort. Some averted their eyes, the disdain on their faces melting into embarrassment. "We should leave," one of them stammered, avoiding Miguel's piercing stare. "We don't want any trouble." Miguel wasn't ready to let the matter rest. Raising his voice to command attention, he addressed the group. "What's this? You think you can treat me this way and just walk away?" he demanded. Pulling out his phone, Miguel made a call. "I want my son to know what you've done," he said, his voice simmering with anger. "Son, I need you here now. I've been discriminated against, and I'm not letting it slide." Within an hour, Miguel's son, an accomplished lawyer, arrived at the airport. The doors swung open with authority, and all eyes turned toward the impeccably dressed young man in a sharp suit. His calm demeanor exuded confidence, a stark contrast to the hostility his father had faced. "Dad, are you okay?" he asked, his voice steady. "Yes, I'm fine," Miguel replied. The son's eyes scanned the group, his expression hardening. "You'll pay for what you've done to my father," he declared, his tone unwavering. Miguel's son moved through the group, demanding details about their actions. "I'll sue each of you, and the company you work for," he announced. His words left the group uneasy, their earlier confidence replaced with visible discomfort. Miguel and his son left the airport together, walking with purpose toward their car. The judgmental stares followed them, but Miguel felt a newfound sense of pride as he placed a hand on his son's shoulder. The case eventually made its way to court. At the mediation hearing, Miguel's lawyers presented a compelling case, supported by witnesses and documentation that exposed the discrimination he had endured. The judge listened carefully to both sides, his irritation evident. From the evidence presented, it's clear that Miguel was treated unfairly. "Discrimination based on appearance is unacceptable," the judge stated. Miguel smiled faintly, sensing the courtroom swaying in his favor. However, the judge's tone shifted. "That said, the company also has its reputation to consider. Rather than imposing a heavy penalty, I propose a resolution where Miguel and the company work together to address the situation and prevent future incidents." One of Miguel's lawyers stood up, outraged. "Your Honor, this company committed a blatant act of discrimination. They must be held accountable." Another lawyer joined in, adding, "Miguel's dignity was trampled. We cannot accept this leniency." The judge raised a hand, his expression stern. "I understand your frustration, but justice is not only about punishment. It's about ensuring change. If the company acknowledges its error and implements reforms, I may reduce the penalty." The courtroom remained tense as Miguel considered the judge's words, a battle between principle and practicality unfolding before him. Fired up by his lawyer's passion, Miguel nodded in agreement. "If that's the route you wish to take, then we'll proceed to trial," the judge declared, his tone icy. "But remember, if you don't present solid evidence, you risk losing everything." The trial commenced, and Miguel watched with a mix of hope and anxiety as his legal team laid out a strong and compelling argument. They meticulously detailed the discrimination and humiliation Miguel had faced. Meanwhile, the company's lawyers attempted to deflect the accusations, but Miguel's team remained steadfast and thorough. As the trial reached its peak, tension filled the courtroom. While the evidence seemed to favor Miguel, the judge's stance remained ambiguous. Just as they awaited the verdict, the courtroom doors swung open. "Who wishes to testify?" the judge asked, clearly puzzled. A confident figure stepped forward. It was a woman named Patricia, an airport staff member who had witnessed everything. "I have relevant recordings," she announced. "Well then," the judge replied, "if they're admissible, we'll hear them." Patricia approached the stand with determination. "I heard everything," she declared, "and I recorded it, despite their attempts to stop me. I couldn't let them treat Miguel this way." She connected her phone to the courtroom system, and moments later, the room fell silent as the mocking voices and cruel remarks echoed through the speakers. When the recordings ended, the atmosphere was electric. The judge adjusted his glasses and took a deep breath, visibly shaken by what he had just heard. In light of the evidence presented, the judge announced firmly, "This court finds that Miguel was indeed discriminated against and humiliated by this company." His sharp gaze landed on the company's lawyers. "Your organization has much to learn about respect and dignity." The judge continued, "This court orders the company to pay a substantial fine and implement mandatory sensitivity training for all employees." The sound of the gavel striking resonated through the room. Miguel left the courtroom feeling triumphant, a broad smile spreading across his face. His lawyers quickly devised a plan to use the fine as an investment fund, allowing Miguel to purchase an even better jet than he'd initially intended. Returning to the airport with a large check in hand, Miguel walked confidently, his head held high. The same staff who had once mocked him now avoided his gaze, their faces flushed with embarrassment. Miguel paused and turned toward them. "Still think I'm a nobody?" he asked, his voice clear and bold. Turning back, he added loudly, "I'm buying my jet, but not from you. I'll take my business to your competitor. They deserve my money, not you." At the competitor's store, Miguel purchased the finest jet he could afford. As he boarded his new plane, the staff from the first store watched in regret, their faces a mix of shame and envy. Miguel flew home, feeling more cheerful and confident than ever before. His wife and children greeted him with open arms, celebrating his victory together. Looking at his new jet, Miguel felt a surge of pride. Reflecting on his journey, he realized the valuable lessons he had learned: perseverance, self-worth, and the power of standing up for what's right. Thank you for joining Miguel on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.